Good morning and welcome to Byte Me Thursday, the free educational workshop series that is powered by US itek. We will be covering incident response planning in this episode, and just a reminder, our Byte Me Thursday workshops are the third Thursday of every month. We're going to start off this episode with a sneak peek at a video that US itek has put together as promotional content for our company.
Meet Frank Reynolds, a small-town manufacturer who once prided himself on building dreams from raw materials. Tonight, Frank finds himself at the mercy of a sinister force beyond his control, a cyber predator who demands a fortune in exchange for the very lifeblood of his business. As the minutes tick away, Frank faces an agonizing decision: pay the price or watch everything he built crumble into oblivion. Frank has ventured into an unsettling dimension, a place where security is an illusion and every keystroke might just be a step toward the cyber zone. But what if Frank had taken a different path? Enter US itek, the vanguard of managed cybersecurity. In a realm where threats lurk in every shadow, US itek provides the shield that stands between innovation and chaos. With US itek's comprehensive protection, Frank's network is fortified with state-of-the-art defenses, constant monitoring, real-time threat detection, and rapid incident response. No longer is his business a vulnerable target for digital predators. In this new realm of security, where vigilance and expertise are paramount, Frank's dreams remain intact. For in the realm of the cyber zone, where threats are unseen and outcomes uncertain, it's wise to choose a partner who turns uncertainty into security. US itek, where peace of mind is not just a promise, but a guarantee.
All right, folks, what do we think? A little round of applause for the hard work that we put into making this. And hopefully you guys are a little bit more awake now. 7:30. Loved it. All right. So we're going to hop right in. So incident response planning is contained with 7 main components. There's 7 main components that comprise an incident response plan. A plan is paramount when you're facing an incident, whether it be a password breach or a full-blown ransomware attack. During a moment of crisis, the last thing you want is to not have a plan to follow and have everyone in your business running around scrambling, wondering who to call, where to go, and who to contact and how to contact to figure out their next steps. So the 7 components of an incident response plan are as follows. Step 1 is preparation. Step 2 is detection. Step 3 is analysis. Step 4 is containment. Step 5 is eradication. Step 6 is recovery. And step 7 is post-incident activity. Again, these are the 7 steps that you will follow in the event of an incident, and all of these should be considered when you're coming up with your incident response plan. We're going to dive deeper on each of these topics, and we're going to start with preparation. Mike Tyson has the famous quote of "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face." In that moment of crisis, you as a business owner or an individual working at a business want to know what your next step is once you recognize that an incident is occurring. And being able to refer to a written plan is extremely important. You can go over things in person, you can do tests, you could do exercises, tabletop exercises. Having a written plan to refer to in a moment of crisis is the most important thing that you can do. And it is the first small step that you could take as a business owner for your organization to have a smooth sailing experience when dealing with an incident. You also want to create a team. You want to involve as many of your employees as possible. What you want to also be able to do is include your IT department. You're going to want to reference your cyber insurance carrier to see what their recommended steps you take during a cyber incident is, and as well as reach out to them to see if there's any resources they can provide to you to help you make your incident response plan. You would also be encouraged to reach out to legal counsel to see what they believe would also be important when coming up with your incident response plan. So to quickly recap, part of your team is going to be your IT department, your employees, your cyber insurance carrier, as well as legal counsel. We also recommend that you create a culture of awareness. You and your employees should always stay vigilant and be on the lookout for anything that might trigger your incident response plan. And again, this could be anything from a full-blown ransomware attack, to a fire in the server room, to servers being offline and passwords being compromised. Having this culture around awareness is important, so then that way, when an incident does occur, you know that it triggers your incident response plan, and you or your employees can start to reference the written material you have in place to take the correct steps to get the incident contained as fast as possible. An important part of your plan is going to be triage. This is going to be determining the severity of the incident that you're facing and how that's going to affect the next steps that you take in order to responding to the incident. What you're going to want to do is also periodically review your plan. The last thing you want is for your plan to get stale or outdated as you implement new technologies, more employees, have your workforce go remote. You're going to want to consider all of these things in your incident response plan and update it accordingly. Part 2 of your incident response plan is going to be detection. Detection is going to be paramount in understanding when to refer to your incident response plan. If an employee clicks on a bad link, they should know the next step is going to be to refer to the incident response plan and follow the steps accordingly. So step 1 is figuring out how to identify when something should trigger your incident response plan. This all ties back to employee awareness. Things like simulated phishing campaigns and having company-wide meetings discussing cybersecurity awareness and incident response is very important to make sure that every employee that is working at your business understands when the incident response plan should be triggered. This also consists of some cybersecurity tools. Things like antivirus and network detection are important to highlight in real time, as fast as possible, when an incident is happening, so that way you can follow your incident response plan and get the incident taken care of as soon as possible to have the smallest impact on your business. The next step of the incident response plan is going to be analysis. What you want to do in the first step of analysis is determine the incident scope. This is going to consist of how is the incident occurring and what systems are impacted. Determining what systems are impacted is a theme that you're going to see consist throughout this presentation. It is very, very, very important to determine what systems are impacted so that way you can keep your business up and running with as much of what comprises your business as possible. Next is containment. What you want to do is define acceptable risks when dealing with an incident. Certain things, like the IT guy running into the building when the server room is on fire and giving him the keys. The receptionist might not log that right away. That might be considered an acceptable risk. We have a fire going on, the fire needs to be put out, so I'm willing to accept the risk of not logging this information. You can always go back later and log it. Things like that. Determining what your acceptable risks are going to be very important when responding to an incident. An essential part of containment is the decision-making aspect. You want to consider things like service availability, and you want to make sure that you shut down any affected systems. So that way, if it is something like ransomware, it doesn't spread to remaining machines and turn into a bigger incident. Containment is very important to make sure that you can still operate on a business level even if you're losing some of your critical systems. An example would be an email server going down. You're going to still be able to access your ERP system. You might still be able to access and process orders, but you might not be able to email receipts, invoices, bill of ladings, items like that. You can still conduct business, you can still get shipments out, you just might not be able to respond to your clients right away, but you can always queue those things up so then that way once these systems come back online, you can pull the trigger and keep sailing just as you were. The next step in our journey in incident response planning is going to be eradication. We're going to want to eliminate all of the components of the incident. We recommend that you consult with a third-party expert to ensure the threat has been completely eradicated. If you load a good known backup into your system and there's a threat in there, we're still in the incident response plan cycle. It is critical in order to get back online and resume normal operations by having a third party come in and double check to make sure the threat is completely eliminated and the incident doesn't trigger again. It is very important to make sure to identify all the affected systems. The last thing you'd want to do is get to this part in your plan and feel confident that you have eradicated the threat and did not realize that another system is affected by this incident, and now you're scrambling to try and get that system under lock and key as well. Make sure you identify all of the affected systems and you eradicate the threat at each of those system levels. The sixth step in incident response planning is going to be recovery. The goal is to restore systems to normal operations. So that might mean that you have to operate with systems that aren't fully functioning until you get to the point where you have everything taken care of. But the overall goal with your incident response plan at step number 6 is to make sure that all of your systems are restored to normal operations. Make sure you have this defined when you're writing out your written plan initially. You do not want to cut corners at this point and say this is a good enough job. We want to get everything back to normal operations, just like how it was before the incident occurred. You're going to want to confirm that your systems are functioning normal. Make sure you test every function of your system. If this is your ERP system, make sure everyone can get in. Make sure everyone can submit orders. Make sure things can be edited in the same fashion that they were. Double check permissions that everybody has and ensure that they're the same as they were before the incident occurred. Recovery may include restoring systems from known good backups and rebuilding systems from scratch, or completely replacing compromised files. This is why it is very, very, very important to have a good backup plan in place to ensure that the incident did not spill over to your backups and the recovery can go through as smooth as possible. Again, the goal of the recovery in step 6 is to get your systems operating back in normal functionality, how they were before the incident occurred. Last but not least, and what I consider the second most important step, is going to be the post-incident activity. You should reflect the event in its totality and see what could be done differently next time. Maybe an individual skipped a step in the plan. Maybe someone didn't know where the plan was. Maybe you didn't have all the numbers and who to contact in what order written out, and it caused delays in responding to your incident. I recommend having everybody write down written notes while the incident is occurring, but let some time go by after the incident is taken care of, nothing more than a week, but so that way folks can calm down, collect their thoughts, and double check their notes to ensure that they have everything put together properly. You're going to want to include exactly what happened and at what times things happened, and how well did staff and your management perform. Maybe you need to add more people to your incident response plan team that weren't included before, or maybe there's too many people involved. These are things that you want to consider. Also, what information was needed sooner that wasn't included in your written plan previously? Again, this is a company-wide effort when you're going through the post-incident activity. Everybody should be involved with this, just like you want to include as many people as possible when coming up with your incident response plan. Okay? Getting everything laid out in its totality of what happened, who was where, and when things occurred, and when people started noticing it are very, very important. So that way we can refine our plan and make sure that the next time an incident occurs, it goes over as smooth as possible. Business can return to normal functionality as soon as possible, and everyone can continue on. Another thing to highlight, what corrective actions can prevent similar incidents in the future? This is another area where I would recommend consulting the third-party experts in your industry as well as in the IT field. There are a plethora of tools and different services that could plug into your business to make corrective actions to prevent a similar incident from happening as easy as possible. That concludes the 7 components of incident response planning, and I appreciate you stopping by and checking it out. For more information on Byte Me Thursday, powered by US itek, feel free to check the description down below. And our next workshop is going to be October 17th. This is going to highlight the power of AI, smart tools for smart work, understanding the power of AI. And we are performing a hands-on introduction to Microsoft Copilot being driven by our network administrator, Carson Smalling.